Hello fellow makers and welcome back to 3D Printed Soup. I've gone out and bought myself a new 3D printer. This is the Ankermake M5. Apparently it's 5 times faster and extra intelligent. So pretty much the antithesis of me then. So we're going to open this thing up, have a look at it and give it a build and a review. Haven't done a review in a while, so I'm quite looking forward to doing this. Just slice the box open here. If you are using a box cutter, make sure you're very careful because these things are sharp. I'm using a scalpel because I'm an idiot. And once again, now that I've finished the scalpel, I put the blade away carefully. Don't leave these things out because they're more dangerous than anything else you've got in your workshop. And yeah, it's a very nice looking box. I don't think I've had a 3D printer that's come in a box like this before. Apparently it's 5 times faster. That's 5. Can you imagine that? 5 times faster than what? Not quite sure. It's extra intelligent. Meaning, I don't know, it thinks for itself. I'm liking the picture here though, and yeah, it looks quite cool. So yeah, let's get this out of its main carrying box and see how nice this is, because I've got high hopes here. This is like opening an Apple product. I mean, it's shiny, it's glossy, it's got marketing. And with the outer packaging off, let's have a look at these graphics and details on the side. We've got the direct drive, we've got the body of it and a few details and pictures. We've got a regular picture of it on the side there. And we've got some gumph about an AI camera. Apparently it's got a very good CPU in it that basically has this wonderful camera on here where you can do time lapses and you can also stream directly to your phones. You can see if your system has crashed, and if it has, apparently the AI on board will let you know and stop the print. So yeah, I'm a little dubious about AI after all these horror stories on the news about how AI is going to destroy us and steal all our jobs, but hey, in a 3D printer I can't imagine it can cause much damage. Let's see if I'm wrong. But yeah, let's get this open and see what's in the box. Right, okay, we have got packaging material, and it's good quality packaging material, so nice thing on the top to protect any of the workings, and this just looks lovely. We have got all kinds of stuff here. We've got what looks like a toolkit, and I've never seen a toolkit like that before. We've got the usual user guide in 1,000 different languages, and I imagine the first 5 pages are English and the rest are dozens of others from around the world. But yeah, it's a quick start guide, so it won't have any real details in there. It'll just be do this, do this, do this. But hey, the instructions seem okay. We'll have a look at those later on. And let's have a quick look at the toolkit. I mean, it's got lovely graphics on the front of it. Just trying to get into this thing. It's got clips either side. Come on. Come on, you idiot. Watching past me is an absolute nightmare. I just sit here watching this buffoon trying to get into stuff. Right, we have got all kinds of bits and pieces in here. Just pop these out. We have got a pair of very good quality cutters. Nice and sharp. We have got... oh, it's one of those things for clearing nozzles, but it's in a nice protective tube so you don't jab it into your finger, which I've done with other companies' things. Some kind of piece of PTF tube. What looks like ratchets and all kinds of wonderful Allen keys. And they've got a big fake Allen key here. It looks like it should be an Allen key, but actually it's a ratchet where you put the Allen key heads into, and then you can use it to open all the other different ones in there. So that's really nice. This is a beautiful piece of tech. And the most complicated spanner, it's the most avant-garde spanner I've seen in a long time. It's sort of got a cylindrical shaft down it and 2 sort of half-moon crescents either side. I kind of like that. And yep, something else there, I can't remember what the hell it was. But yeah, very nice toolkit, and I'll be using that for all my 3D printers, I think. Yeah, nicely done, Ankermake. I'm very impressed with that. Next up, we've got the test spool. And I'll tell you what, this is becoming a nice trend. People are actually including enough PLA to actually do some test prints as opposed to like the couple of inches you get with some printers. So yeah, very impressed with that. What's this? This is, that looks like the filament spool holder. That's a nice piece of extruded aluminium. And we've got nuts, bolts, screws, etc. I'll put these over here on the side table so they don't go missing because that would be an absolute nightmare. We've got the European plug and the UK plug. So brilliant stuff. Thank you very much for including those in it. And I also got an extra box which actually had a European to UK adapter in it as well. So they've really covered you here. You're definitely going to get the right voltage. And here we are. Let's get the next bit off here. That is a big chunky piece of packaging. Now keep the packaging, do not throw the packaging away because it's really, really important as it's part of the assembly. And a very clever little trick they've done. We'll go into more of that later. This thing is absolutely hench. It is extruded aluminium, it's very, very heavy. And yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, that whole section there, that is the extruder. So the direct drive, it's all in one bit, and you'd have to spend hours and hours putting it all together and getting it all lined up because it's chunky and they're done already. Now, as I say, don't throw any of this away because you're going to need all of this later on for the construction. Idiot me here doesn't know that yet, so we can all laugh at him later on. Now, here is the base. It's got everything attached to it. It's even got the magnetic bed plate on it, and this thing is absolutely chonky. You can see the two sockets there where the two crossbars go into it. It's solid metal on top with a plastic case around it. And this thing feels like you spent some good money on it. And I have spent some good money on it. Nowhere near as much as you could do, but it's for a sort of middle of the range expensive printer, this is a very, very nice piece of kit. And Anker, if you didn't know, they've been in the market for a long, long time. They've never made a 3D printer before, but they have made some really, really nice stuff. Everything from laptop bags all the way through to components. And yeah, their stuff is always quality. So I'm very glad they've got into 3D printing because they seem to have brought the years of experience actually running a decent brand and put it to work here. And yeah, I am loving this already. It's a delight unboxing it, which is more than you can say for some brands where you unbox it and it feels like you're building my first Meccano set, only with loads and loads of wires and high voltage. Okay, back to the build, and as my dad always says, RTFM. So yeah, let's start with the manual and make sure we're following all the right bits. Put all the bits aside, so we have got the spool there. Okay, let's speed this up a bit, because this idiot is going to be here all day. It's about now that I've realised that I actually need all the packaging because they've done some very clever stuff here. In order to basically get all this at the right level and the right height, you can use the packaging to actually lift and hold some of the pieces so they all just slot in together. It's a very, very intuitive piece of packaging design and I absolutely love it. I mean, if you're going to put foam and cardboard and that kind of stuff jamming to hold your printer together, you might as well have dual purposes for it. And yeah, I absolutely love the way this works. It's all in the instruction manual, just very easy to follow. I'm gonna fast forward this bit because it takes a while for me to figure it out. But yeah, let's have a look at this. Yeah, so first of all, you put the both arms into the packaging device there. Then you turn it round so it's facing you. You're then going to insert the bottom of the arms into the printing base here, and you do that by flipping it over, getting the cables the right way around, and you just bring it in, thread the cables through, making sure they go in the correct grooves. And yeah, there's another piece of material you can use here that makes it much easier, and then you put the thin bit under there to make sure you don't scratch your lovely printer. Line them up, carefully put them in without damaging any of the cables or disconnecting them. Check out the instruction manual and it will show exactly how to do this. And yeah, it should just go straight in like so. There we go. Next thing we need to do is we need to basically put the screws and the bolts in the bottom. So let's skip on to that part now. And here we are on the base of your printer. You'll notice that the two brackets have gone straight through the base and are supported by the packaging material behind it. You've got the two cables either side, which are the powers for the stepper motors, and then you use the hexagonal tip that goes into here, and then you attach the screw there. It's magnetized, so it should just sit on top, and you can just thread it in, and you can attach all of the 8 screws where the manual shows you. Let's just speed this a bit because this takes a while. While past Ben toils away screwing in arms and attaching stepper motors, I'll take this opportunity to remind you that you can like and subscribe my channel. If you enjoy my videos, my time lapses and my construction videos, then hey, why not click like, subscribe, and if you're feeling cheeky, you could even go to Patreon and give me a little bit of support there as well. No pressure, but yeah, I think I'm pretty much nearly done here with the screws. I'm attaching the stepper motors there, as you can see, and just making sure the cables are connected in. So let's go back to other me, and we can then carry on with our build. Okay, with all the stepper motors plugged in correctly, and with the cables all popped into the right place, you can then put the faceplate back on. Just clip the top in, and the two clips there just snap back in, and it makes it lovely and neat, and there are no cables lying around anywhere, so you're not in any danger of snagging them. With that done, let's attach the filament holder, the spool holder, to the arm here using the M4 screws, and yeah, these should hold it tight on there, and the whole thing is made out of aluminium, so it's fairly rigid. And the nice thing is, because you're screwing aluminium into aluminium, it's not like screwing aluminium into plastic where you're worried you're going to basically strip the holes. You could just screw these straight in and do them a little bit tighter than you would if you were doing metal into plastic. And now it's time to therapeutically remove the screen covering, as is your God-given right. Oh, lovely. And would you believe that's pretty much it done? There is no bed leveling manually needed. You don't need to attach any other stepper motors or spend ages trying to find the right G cable to go in E socket or anything else like that. You just attach the two arms, clunk it on, 8 screws, and you're done. It's incredibly simple. But now it's time for setup, and yes, it's a touch screen, a lovely touch screen. There we go. You click English, click save. It tells you basically make sure you clean your bed plate, which is good practice anyway. Using rubbing alcohol. You see, I don't use rubbing alcohol. I use isopropyl alcohol, which is kind of the same thing, but hey, whatever alcohol you've got, although I wouldn't advise using Scotch or Drambuie. Right, now it tells you about ambient temperatures, and yeah, if you are in a hot temperature, if you're in a hot place or a cold place, make sure you adjust your temperatures, because yeah, it does affect your prints. And now we can set up the network. I'm not going to set up the network in front of you because you'll see my password and then try and hack me. You know you will, don't protest. So let's skip on to the next bit after I set the network up. First we need to do is we need to bed level this thing, and it does it automatically using an AI camera and some sensors. And yeah, it does sort of 42 different sections on the build plate and just works out where the lumps and bumps are. And yeah, this thing basically will print a perfect first layer. Yes, you can adjust the differential between the bed and the nozzle, but I found straight out of the factory stock actually worked very, very nicely. And yeah, this just straightens itself out, makes sure everything is correct, and then you can go straight on and try one of the test prints. And yeah, my favourite test print is always a 3D benchy boat. I love them, and I've got a wonderful collection, one for each of my printers. So let's sit back, relax, and see how this thing handles the wonderful 3D benchy boat. All that footage there was taken from the in-camera view on the printer. It comes with a lovely camera that films at 1080p and does time-lapse or just generally does standard video, which is absolutely great. It also picks up and broadcasts the video straight to your mobile phone. As you can see here, I can see that the print has finished and it sends me a message whenever it's done. And if there's any kind of problems, like the AI camera picks up level issues or a spaghetti monster beginning to form, it pauses and sends me a pic and asks me if I want to continue, which is amazing and I absolutely love it. Now, here we go. This has finished. It's not the smoothest benchy print I've ever had, but I use it from stock settings and I use stock temperatures. I will probably up the temperature to 215 instead of 200, and I probably adjust it slightly as well. But yeah, for a first print benchy straight out of the box with no monkeying around from me, this is not bad at all, and I'm very, very happy with it. It completed, it's great. The time lapse worked very, very nicely, and yeah, with a little bit of a sound, this will be smooth as butter, but I think I can probably do better next time when I've done some messing around with the settings. And just for comparison, this is one I print. The one on the right is one I printed on my Creality Ender 3 S1 Pro, and the one on the left is the one I just printed out. And yeah, I'd say they're fairly comparable. I think the Pro may have come out a little smoother on the bow, but other than that, it seems pretty much very similar. As I say though, the Ender 3S1 I've done some monkeying around with, so let's have a look and see how it does with other benchmarks. So yeah, let's try a decent torch test this time. This is what the screen looks like when it's heating up, and yeah, it tells temperature of the bed, temperature of the extruder, and you can tap them and change it if you would like to. Once that has been done and it reaches temperature, it homes and then does a quick bed level to make sure it's still level, and then starts printing out, and it prints very, very fast. This thing is a very, very quick printer, and yeah, it is 5 times faster than most of the other printers I own, and yet doesn't seem to suffer hugely. The only thing I would say is it is loud. It sounds like Optimus Prime getting it on with a mini skip. It crunches, it whirs, it shouts and screams, but quite frankly, for the speed it gets and the print quality it gets at that speed, I am more than happy with the trade-off. Right, let's print ourselves a little bit more of a complicated test print. Let's give this a try. And with that print complete, let's have a look and see how the M5 has done. First of all, we've got the overhang test here. As you can see, overhang test. It's quite obvious. It has performed very nicely. Both overhangs have printed smoothly, and yep, there is no stringing and it hasn't failed at all. So yeah, that's very, very impressive. Next, we have got the hole test, and yep, all the holes are printed correctly. There's no stringing, there's no issues with them. That's all done very, very well. The thickness, wall thickness test has also printed the tubes well. The bridge overhangs, here we are. Each bridge has printed with no stringing whatsoever, and yeah, they've come out clean and clear, which is brilliant. The thickness tests have also printed out quite nicely. The only problem is the post tests, the middle one snapped off. It snapped off, I think something may have just caught on it, but it's printed the other 2 tests with the thick post coming out a little bit squidgy, but yeah, I'd give that a good solid 8 out of 10. So, at the end of that review, how do I rate the Ankermake M5? Well, let's start off with the basics. The thing looks gorgeous. It's got lovely RGB lighting, which is absolutely pointless on a 3D printer, but it makes it look like a professional product designed for the market and not designed for basically amateurs and enthusiasts. This is an easy to set up and hard wearing 3D printer. I do enjoy printers that I have to put together and have to wire up, and I'm slightly scared they might burn my house down at any second. That's just me. Anyone else? No? Well, okay, fair enough. But yeah, this doesn't actually give you a lot to play with. It is set up already. You plug the top into the bottom, put 6 or 7 screws in, press a button, and it is done. You don't need to worry about blare height. You don't need to worry about retraction. You don't need to worry about anything because it just does it straight out of the box. If you're scared that it might go wrong when you're out, you've got a camera, you've got a smart AI on there. And I say AI isn't actually intelligence. It just takes data and goes, right, this is the data I should be seeing. If the temperatures aren't the same, if what it sees on the camera isn't the same, then it stops and asks you for help. It's not smart. It's just looking at a series of parameters, and if they step outside the norms, it'll stop and ask you whether you want to continue, which is great. Now, let's move on to the actual print quality. I'm very impressed by it. It's done 2 benchmarks, the first one being the Benchy boat, and yet tad rough, but with a few bits and pieces and a few changes to temperatures, I could probably print a perfect Benchy boat with this thing. And the stress test, yep, absolutely great, apart from the rigid pole test. Everything else in it printed great, the overhands printed great, the wall fitting's printed great, and the whole test printed great, and the bridging was just great. I don't think I've seen a 3D printer do that bridging that well. So yeah, absolutely love this. Now, let's move on to one of their key features which they sell a lot on the box, the app, which is also called Ankermake, which is kind of confusing. You'd think you call it the Ankermake Pro app or the Maker app, but it's just called Ankermake. So yeah, make of that as you will. But it functions. I can do time lapse on it. I can record on it. I can change temperatures. I've tried sending files from my phone to the Ankermake, which works out okay. But when I try and turn the AI on, it tells me that no, I need to update my printer to the latest firmware. My printer is on the latest firmware, and yeah, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That's something that they're going to need to sort out, and I've emailed them about it just to let them know. But yes, the Ankermake M5. It is a very competent, very well designed, very beautiful, and extremely user-friendly piece of kit. In fact, I go as far as to say it's almost too user-friendly. This is the equivalent of getting an SLR camera and sticking it on automatic and never venturing into any of the settings or changing the shutter speed or working out how much depth perception you want or working out exposures for yourself. It does everything for you. And yep, I like that, but I feel it's lost something. If you are a 3D printing beginner, this is the perfect starting 3D printer. It teaches you all you need to know, but doesn't actually have any of the risks or any of the complicated tests and maintenance that you need to carry out on a regular printer. This thing does it all for you. Also, I'd say if you are looking to do long prints that you do not want to fail and you want to basically know you're safe with them, this is a great printer. You can watch them, you can turn it on and off automatically, and you can be safe and secure that your printer is creating beautiful models and not spitting out tons and tons of molten plastic and setting fire to your house while you're out and about. I was happy to leave this thing going while I was asleep because I set the alarm to tell me if there's any kind of problems, and yeah, I'm very, very happy that I had this because it means I can run 3D prints 5 times faster, and yes, it is 5 times faster than, say, the Ender 3. I printed an entire Star Wars Stormtrooper helmet. Last time I printed one of these out, it took me 2 weeks of almost solid printing. I managed to get an entire Stormtrooper helmet, full size, printed in under a day's worth of printing. This thing just spits it out faster than you can imagine. Now, cons. 1, far too simple. If you are a professional or a avid 3D printer, this is going to be very, very boring to you. It does nothing, you can't change anything, and yeah, it's all done for you. Also, it is very, very loud. I put on noise cancelling headphones to basically sit in the same room as this thing because I could not concentrate while this thing was going off. It bangs, it crunches and whirs, and yeah, the fan on it is extremely loud. I'm hoping when the M5 M5 Mark II or Mark III comes out, they put some silent stepper motors on it and a silent fan so that it can do its thing without basically making the neighbours wonder if you're beating up a garbage can with a very large metal pipe in the rooms next door to them. Yeah, if you've got neighbours, this is not your friend. So, how would I rate the Ankermake? I'd say the model itself, most definitely a solid 8 to 9 out of 10. Only thing it needs to include is quieter stepper motors and maybe a few more options. But yeah, it looks great, it does its job well, and everything from the build surface through to the screen and the lovely metal injection base to it are top quality products, and it feels very premium. Thanks for watching 3D Printed Soup. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay happy and safe. Keep printing.